Happy Thursday! My name is Aimee. Welcome to Ping and Aimee's excellent adventures in true crime. And to my left, my other left, is my good friend Ping. What's going on over there, Ping?
Not much. I made a mistake. I was sitting in one of our old lives and I was like, where is everything? Why does it look all grey? And I was sitting there for like 10 minutes going, what's going on?
That's kind of funny.
Yeah. And then I was like, because I was like, wait, maybe I'm in the wrong one. And then I got out of it and I saw the new one that was scheduled and I went in and I was like, oh, there everything is. So
No,
blame me because we're late.
oh no, it's fine. It's fine. It's all about time travel. You got stuck in a black hole or something along those lines. Have you, speaking of black holes, have you seen the recording that NASA released of the sound they captured from the black hole? It's like 36 seconds of sound.
I haven't seen that one, but I saw the video of the black hole they captured recently.
It is crazy. It's like, it's like, it's a really,
Someone in a lab is just like running a vacuum cleaner and they're like, we're picking up some very interesting sounds from this black
mhm.
hole.
Yeah, it's a little weird. So I know that you have some little things going on in the background. So I want to show one thing real quick, and then we'll get started. Thank you everybody for being here. I appreciate it. Let me go ahead and put this up on the screen. This is a little thing it's just for fun. So if you've ever rented a property, an Airbnb, anything like that, an apartment, a lot of times they ask for a photo of your dog. So in case it gets out or something, like they know that it belongs in that area. And so this is a site called We Rate Dogs, and it says this is Hooch, whose owner needed a photo of him for the landlord. Gave them his best smile. He's so cute. I don't know why I find it so like amusing, but I just do. I just think it's the sweetest thing that he smiled for his photo.
How do
So,
you say no to that dog? You'd be like, I'll give him his own rental contract.
oh, he'd need his own room in my house. I'd be like, I mean, my dog is cute, but he gets like half of my dinner every night. Like, oh, and I would, yeah, yeah. I mean, really, that smile, that underbite. Oh, I makes animals make me melt. Like whenever I'm having a hard time, like it's just go to the animals, and everything's okay. So there you go. That's a little that's a little fun thing for the night. Now I'm gonna have to skip through some stuff real quick. Hold on, don't look, don't peek. Okay, so I am gonna start off tonight. Neither one of these stories do I have photos of, like pictures to put on a thumbnail. So I made it hard. So I'm sorry. I see some people in the comments saying Weekend at Bernie's used to creep you out as a child or what have you. I couldn't think of another way to explain this, other than putting a ton of words on a thumbnail, which I really didn't want to do. But if anybody knows the story Weekend at Bernie's, it's basically like Bernie is the boss and he dies. And in order for these two people to get away with what they need to get away with, they need to pretend like he's alive. So they're rolling him around in a gurney and they've got him posed by the pool and he's dead the whole time. You know, it's like slapstick comedy type of stuff. Maybe kind of like a B movie, but now I would say it's probably turning into like a kind of a cult movie. So that's the picture I used. And the reason is because the next two stories I'm about to tell you are along those lines. Only they're a mother and daughter and a father and son. Two separate stories, both taking place in California. And when I tell you they're bizarre, and they happened pretty much days apart from each other. So the first one takes place in Petaluma, California. So that is like in the Bay Area. And on Tuesday, the neighbors of a woman living in Petaluma became concerned because she had a mountain of Amazon boxes, like those meal delivery boxes like HelloFresh and whatnot, built up on her front porch, on her stoop. And they hadn't seen her in a couple of weeks. And the neighbors had, although they didn't know the woman, they noticed this and went over and knocked on the door. Nobody answered. So they decided to reach out to law enforcement, and law enforcement went and did a wellness check. So Tuesday morning, about 10:50 a.m., they go to the house and they knock on the door and no one responds. So they make a decision based on what they've seen and the reports from the neighbors to force entry into the home. And when they open the door to the home, they are met with a living room area, and there is a dead woman sitting on a sofa. And when I say dead woman, she had been deceased for what appears to be over a year. So as they're hit with this shock, they hear from a back area of the house another woman calling out. So now they're like, what the heck is going on? Now this house has become like a hoarder home. There is apparently trash up to the ceiling and these little trails, going in and out of the house. So the police weave in and out of these little trails, and they find another woman in the back bedroom, and it's the daughter of the woman who is deceased on the sofa up front. So what we know right at this moment is that back in March of 2020, COVID, the shutdown happened. And, people were making a lot of arrangements to be able to stay in their homes. That's when these women at the time, began ordering meal service and things of that nature. According to the woman in the back room, who, by the way, needed medical help, she was literally calling out for help. It is unspecified what's wrong with her, but it was enough where she obviously needed a psych exam, but she also needed something physical treated. So I think that she had become incapacitated in this back room and was unable to even get to the door to get the packages or to answer the door or anything anymore. So the woman in the back room who's injured and being taken to the hospital, the little bit we know is that she told the police that her mother died back in April of 2021. Now, why she remained on the sofa for that long is unbeknownst to us. Perhaps she didn't know how to deal with it. Perhaps I would say with the hoarding and some other things, there's probably some mental issues going on, being kind. But we'll show you a couple of photos that I pulled from the press. So this is the amount of packages that were on the porch. Apparently anything these women or this woman at this point needed to survive, she was ordering online. In the back over here, what looks like cinder blocks, those are all coolers, like those styrofoam coolers where you order like meal prep or ready to eat food. And I see some of you saying, surprised she could stand the smell. Well, I'm surprised too, because they had to condemn the house because of the condition, not condemn, but board it up and lock it. It's not healthy to live in a house with a decomposing body. And yes, we'll get to the porch pirates too. So
It's not uncommon though, Aimee. There was a guy in Australia who he was a hoarder. He obviously hoarded for a very long time. He became elderly. He passed away. And then when he passed away, his kids came to clean out the home. When they did so, they found a body rolled up in a rug. And they found air fresheners dotted all around the apartment. The man had actually been killed by the other man who died, something like 20 years earlier.
ugh.
They reckon he was a burglar and he tried to break into that home, and the occupant killed him and didn't know what to do, so he rolled him up in a rug and kept him there for 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, I know I've heard of people like oh gosh, I can never remember her name, but the gal that uh, Nancy Kissel, you know, she rolled her husband up in a rug and put him in a storage unit in Hong Kong. Um, you know, and lived with him in the penthouse for several days with her children and the help. But to live with a family member, a mother and a daughter, somehow that hits me as like more disturbing. Um, you know, it'll be interesting to see what the story is. And I know I see Berserker Loki says maybe she still needed the benefits for the person that passed away. And it's interesting you bring this up because that was one of the things that I was trying to think why you wouldn't report a body. Either you couldn't accept it, you had mental illness, maybe she was a hoarder and she didn't want people in the home. I don't know, but you know, whatever the case, it's incredibly it's just something you can't even imagine. So
She
if
may
you,
not have been able to afford the rent and utilities on her own.
well, that's yeah, exactly. So she would need her mom's benefits, and so she wouldn't tell anybody she was dead in order to keep collecting them. In that case, like she'll be charged with fraud. But up here, you can see the red sign where they've closed the house off. Unsafe to occupy, dated 8/23 at 9:30. Um,
They can clean that, but I reckon they're gonna have to remove floorboards, any interior padding, insulation. It's gonna have to be taken down to the bare bones and redone.
oh my gosh, yeah, yeah. I mean, it would hardly be worth it. But oh, PB&J said I had an old neighbor down by you, Aimee, who left his father in the freezer and then committed suicide. Of course, it was in Florida. I'm so I'm sorry. That's
Such
terrible.
a chilling crime.
Yeah, right. There's some wordplay there, like "frozen in paradise" or something like that.
An
Okay.
icy relationship.
Oh, there you go. The cold shoulder. So this is the outside of the house. You can see those boxes, like literally in that portico, just built up. That is the front door that had to be removed. They had to put plywood up. Neighbors said the drapery was always closed. That was one of the commonalities that they expressed. And most of the people in the neighborhood did not know these women. They had not been outside in years, since maybe 2020, 2019. Street blocked off. A tweet from KRON4. Wednesday update from Petaluma. Dozens of unopened boxes in front of home. It was those boxes that had neighbors calling police to do welfare check. Police going yesterday. Dead mom's body in living room. Daughter was in bedroom. She told mom died in April 2021. Now, this is the part where I want. This isn't the most interesting part. I mean, we've got to figure out why something like this would happen. But I went ahead. This was a 200 block of, I believe it's Windsor Drive in Petaluma. So I looked up houses on that street. These are, let me see, this is blocking it. Let me see if I can take this down for a second. These are $1 million homes in the Bay Area. This is not like some little neighborhood. This one's 954,000. This one is, let's see, 1.1 million. Thought I had another one. Did we skip one? No, I just didn't put my favorite one in there. There's one that shows a house and how like the front of the lots aren't big, but they go way back and you can see kind of like hills or mountains in the background. What's interesting is, not that it matters, but is it this one? If you look at this house in the lower, let me see if I can find a bigger picture of it. Okay, so this is the house right here, up here, across from the delivery van. And then if you go here and you look at this garage door, this portico.
Is that normal with the pot plants in those kind of richer kind of estate areas?
Of what? The pot
Just
plants?
Yeah, the pot plants with the signs. Like
Um,
the no trespassing? Are they just trying to keep out like people who are not? Yeah, that.
oh, I think the police put those up.
Oh, okay. I was like, I
Yeah.
kept thinking like if it was the police, they'd put up tape and maybe something more official looking. But
I,
all
I
right,
I think those were put up by like either neighbors or police or something like that. You know,
I thought it was someone's try of keeping unknown traffic out of the neighborhood.
no, because there's a house here. I don't know if y'all can see my mouse or not, so I maybe just be doing this in vain. The their house is the last one on the right with like the Spanish roof. But I can't imagine anybody would be allowed to put these in the street. This is not like a driveway. This is actually a road. So and when you said pot plants, I was like, what are you talking about?
It's California, but not those pot plants.
Yeah. I was like, huh. Okay, so yeah, if you look at this picture with the portico and the windows and stuff, it looks a lot like this one right here from the side, the way it's all flat and the lawn. I don't know, but I think that's probably it. I ran out of time. I was trying to match it up. Not that it matters. They haven't released the name of the women yet. So they have to
It's a
determine.
high rent though, Aimee. Look,
Yeah,
the rent estimate is $3,599 a month.
yeah,
Even if they had some sort of rent control and they were there for like 5 years, let's say it's 2.5 grand. That's a lot of money for people. Like if someone died and they were splitting that rent, that's a lot of 50% to make up every month. So
yeah. I mean, it was mother and daughter, so I'm thinking that the daughter probably moved in with the mom. Apparently, she had been in the neighborhood for a while, but nobody really knew her. But to be able to afford to order this was not abnormal to have 10 to 15 packages delivered every other day. The difference is that they were taken into the house, and these like meals in the back and the coolers, those were delivered on a regular basis too. So obviously somebody was paying those bills because it had been like this for a couple of years that they were living.
yeah, because I can tell you, I order a lot from Amazon and I don't get 15 a day, but I might get 15 a month or something.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the hardest problems with Amazon is dealing with the bloody boxes afterwards.
Oh yeah,
Because like sometimes Amazon will send you something and it's something small, also like it's not small, but not as big as the box, and they'll send you this massive box. It's like a meter long, and you're like, "What am I supposed to do with this now? It won't even fit in the bin. I have to cut it up." And so, if they're getting like 15 a day, imagine all that cardboard waste from all the boxes, and if they're taking it inside, and this is just a little bit, it must be insane in there.
yeah, I know, and they must have been able. It seems like maybe part of what was going on inside was maybe those boxes, you know?
Yeah, I can imagine because I have enough problems just ordering a small amount each month with Amazon. So if you're getting 15 a day, I mean, I don't know, you'd be full time cutting up boxes or storing them somewhere.
For real. I'm going to show you this real quick. So, my aunt posted this today. It's an Amazon box, and it says box doubles as a last minute diorama. That was kind of cute.
Yeah, they often have little messages on our ones too. In Australia, sometimes like an environmental message, or it just depends. Sometimes it's seasonal. It might be like a Christmas message or something like kangaroos don't wear hats or something.
Oh,
Yeah, something like that.
oh. As I make faces and I try to get back to where we are, let me go ahead and add this back to the stream. Um, so yeah, I mean, obviously the Amazon was paid for, the mail delivery was paid for. It's possible that she had been in the home for quite some time, and so that she had a mortgage and like on a fixed income, like all that money was already there. We don't know. The daughter could have been working from home. We don't know her age. We don't know the mom's age. Um,
There could have been an active credit card too that they were just maxing out until the end or something.
well, yeah, but I mean, you're talking about going on 2 years. you know?
It is a long time, but it depends how
Yeah.
big the limit was. Maybe it's like a 20
Yeah.
grand limit and she's only spending a few hundred a month. Who knows? You know, a
I
million
don't know.
things.
Yeah, I mean these looks like some big packages though. I mean, and meal plans. Have you ever ordered one of those meal plans? They're not. I mean, I don't think they're a good deal. Um,
I can't say I've ever ordered one of those, like, you know, like where they send you all the stuff pre-portioned and things like that. They just don't make sense to me because they're like, hey, pay us like $200 for like 5 meals. And it's just so expensive. You could go down and buy like a kilo of broccoli for like $6 and do it yourself.
yeah, and there's, I mean, I'm not super like crunchy. Like I'm not gonna sit there and do all my things about the environment. I mean, I try to be conscious of it, but I'm not. It's not like 90% of my life or anything. But those those meal delivery boxes concern me because everything is like prepackaged, and you're having to like. It just seems like a lot of paper waste. I mean, it sounds amazing to be able to like throw something in the dish and have everything measured out and then just cook it, but I don't know. And my kids eat too much, so
I've
I mean,
seen the
they
portions that they give and they're not very big. And I was like, is that for like 2 people or like 4 people? Because I've
right,
seen like the ads and that, and I'm like, that's like a snack for us. And we're not big eaters, but it's just like they look very tiny.
right. Well, and I shouldn't have said my kids eat too much, but I mean, we're getting to the point. Like, I can't even eat pasta, right? So I made a pasta dish the other night for dinner, and I made the entire jumbo package of linguine. Like how like you have those ones that are like maybe like an inch or a couple centimeters high, and then you have the ones that are like just a little bit bigger, like
Yeah,
one
like
inch.
the family pack.
Yes, it was gone. It was gone. It had broccoli. There was chicken. I made a Greek side salad without the lettuce, like a traditional Greek salad. There was bread. Everything was gone. Everything was gone. There were 5 chicken breasts in that thing.
I don't know where kids put it, but I was like that as a kid. We used to go, I'll tell you a little story before we move on. My
Sure.
parents used to take us to a all-you-can-eat place. They were very popular in the 90s, these kind of
Yeah.
buffet style. They're kind of gone away now. You don't have them in Australia anymore, but I know they're still in America, these type
Mhm.
of buffet type places. Well, as a treat, our parents used to take us there, like, you know, once every few months. And I used to put away like 9 plates of food. And my parents were just like, "What's wrong with this kid?" And I wasn't a fat kid. I used to play a lot of sport and things like that. I was quite a thin kid, but they were like, "Where does this kid put 9 plates of food?"
Yeah.
So I get it. I get what your kids are doing.
Yeah, but it's funny. Like I can see like when you take your kids to like a buffet and there's like they can have all the shrimp cocktail they want. You know what I mean? Or like 4 bowls of ice cream, or depending on like what you let your children do. I'm telling you, my kids eat at home like they're at the buffet every meal. I mean, it's insane. It
Amy, did they ever have the Pizza Hut in America that had the ice cream? In Australia, they used to have these Pizza Huts that you could eat in at, and they had like a little buffet of pizza where you could get like different flavored pizza. But they also had like a salad and a dessert bar that had like ice cream and like toppings. Was that
so
ever a thing in America?
well, Sunday bars were, yes. It's funny you should say that about the Pizza Hut because we went to drop the car off at the garage the other night. We were down near Universal Studios, and there was a Pizza Hut that you could eat inside, and I was like a little like overly excited about it. I would say it was nostalgic for me because I was like, I haven't seen a Pizza Hut you could eat in years. Yes, they used to have salad bars. I honestly don't remember if they had ice cream bars in it, but there's other places that do. Like, trying to think. Like, there's places there's a salad bar place, but that has like more than salad on it, called. Oh, it's just in my head. I can't think of what it's called now. Sweet Tomatoes. And then there's Soup Plantation, which is like more than soup. They all have like the Sunday dessert bars. Um,
Just
there's
take me to Cracker Barrel and drop me off. I'll be back in 10 years. I love that place.
I like Cracker Barrel too. Yeah, pizza's good. Pizza's good when it's hot. Pizza's good when it's cold.
Pizza's just good in general. Whoever invented it, whatever Italian invented it, I mean, should really be a god.
Probably is. Maybe we should start a cult religion.
We're going to start a new one, no longer cookies. It's going to be the cult of pizza. So you have to take your pizza slice and dip it into the ranch every Sunday at like 5
Ew.
o'clock.
Are you a ranch dipper?
Yeah, I am. Only because ranch is really rare here, and I've kind of got addicted to it when I was in the States.
Okay, so I have to tell you that yes, Golden Corral is what I was thinking about. I couldn't remember. I have a funny story about a Chinese buffet. And so when I moved to Texas in my 20s, I remember like being at work one day and they had ordered pizza or something, and everybody was dipping their pizza in ranch, and I had never seen that before in my life. Like it was like, what are you doing? Like I never heard, nobody that I grew up with ever did that. It's not
Is
a
it a
foreign.
northern thing?
I don't know. I don't know where that came from. It's very strange. And even when I lived out in California, I don't really think I ever remember. Actually, remember I told you those Australians that I met when I was out there?
Oh, right. Yep.
They dipped their pizza in ranch.
I think that's
Yep.
just because it's new for us. So we're like, give us all the ranch. We'll eat it on
Yeah.
everything. But
Yeah.
some of the pizza places, when I watch American television, they actually offer like dipping sauces for the pizza now. They're
Mm,
like, we offer 4 different kinds of sauces with your
yeah.
pizza.
They do. They do. When we order pizza, they they always, you pay extra for like garlic butter or ranch or marinara, anything like that. So,
Spicy cheese and
yes. Oh my gosh, sushi buffet. That sounds really good.
I think
Yeah,
we're just hungry because it's lunchtime here and it's like dinner time in the
is that what it
States.
is? Well, I don't know. I ate dinner, well, late. We ate somewhere between American and European dinner tonight. It was like 8 o'clock by the time it was like crazy. But somebody said the Chinese buffet. There's a Chinese buffet um, somewhat near us, and so you pay. Okay, so they have the regular Chinese buffet, and then they have like crab legs and like seafood on this like other table, but you pay more for that. And so the people that are doing the regular buffet get like a yellow wristband, and the people that, or no, the people that buy the super buffet get the yellow wristband. Everybody else doesn't
Is
have it.
there a bouncer that checks your wristband? It's like, no, no crab for you. Get in the other line.
Literally, I feel so badly. There's this woman that's like 140 years old, and she runs around checking wristbands as people approach, as if like they're going to go over there and just start eating off the buffet, and she's not going to be able to stop them.
Yeah, we're gonna go bankrupt if you take a crab leg on the normal buffet.
Yeah.
Amy, I was gonna say for our viewers, if you guys like that type of stuff, like the buffets and the all you can eats and kind of like that kind of eating, there's a channel called Strictly Dumplings, not Strictly Dumping. That's a rubbish channel. That's
That's
for
like,
rubbish. Strictly Dump. That's going on the world record thing for us. We're gonna clip that and put that somewhere. Um, but his name is Mike Chan, and he runs the Strictly Dumpling channel, and he does a lot of like all you can eat and cheap eats and things like that. It
I
is
like
not a rubbish channel.
Yeah, I like dumplings. I like the like some of like what they call like I guess like street food. Like the dumplings are good, and what do they call like banchan? Like the little pockets, it's like a little roll stuffed with meat.
I like banh mi.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Banh mi. Yeah.
They're so good. Like in Australia, it's a bit of a thing down here.
Mm-hmm.
we think our pork roll is like the best in the country and things like that. So but you know what's weird? One time I'll tell you the story how like 20 people died in Melbourne in the 90s from it. But yeah, they're really popular down here.
Well, tell me the story.
Oh, you want to hear it?
Waiting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can't do
So,
that. You know I'm
so
gonna call
like,
you up in the middle of the night.
because you'll be thinking about it, you'll be like, Ping didn't tell me that story. I
No,
got to ring him.
no.
All right, I'll tell you. So in the 90s, when they used to sell these pork rolls, they, Mrs. Ping, was it the butter or the mayonnaise they didn't refrigerate? It was a mayo because it was egg mayo.
Ugh.
Yeah. So they used to leave the mayonnaise out in the scorching hot Australian summer, and it was whole egg that they made themselves. And so
Mhm,
they used to just, because in their country, I guess that's just what they did.
mhm.
And so when they came here, they just did the same thing. And then like people just started dropping like flies like all over the city. They
Oh,
had a massive like salmonella and like food poisoning outbreak, and a bunch of people died. And they really cracked down on it. So now when you go get banh mi, it's all refrigerated. You can see how cold and icy it is, and
for your thermometer.
yeah, and they're really strict about it. So like, the people are really like the people who own the stores are really prideful on their display of look how clean it is and cold and it's very icy and yeah, I don't think they want a repeat of the 90s pork roll deaths.
That's horrible. I can't even. Ugh. I think if you've ever had food poisoning or been sick at the same time that you have recently, you know, tried something that's it's just no, no, no. I'm so mad because my kids have never had artichokes, and it's like that's my favorite thing. Like literally, I could live on artichokes.
Like
And
those green things, those artichokes.
yeah, hmm
Okay.
yeah, they're like that's my jam. And so my kids are adventurous eaters, so one night I made artichokes, and we were eating them, and everybody liked them, and I was so happy, and I was like, yay! And then the stomach flu hit our house.
Oh no, was it just because the vegetable wasn't washed properly like in manufacturing or
No, in this case, it had nothing to do with what we ate. It was just like the it was just a stomach bug that flew through the house. It was like the first night Isabella got it, and then she was sick for 3 days, and then 8 hours later it was Christian for another 3 days, then it was Chris, then it was me. I mean, it went on for like a week. So like
so
food
can they
poisoning,
no longer eat artichoke anymore because of the food poisoning?
yeah, they won't even they just won't even consider it. And I'm like, please, 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 just try one more time. Just try. They're so delicious, and they're like, nope. But
So
I
I actually have the same thing, Amy. I have exactly the same thing. When I was 16, I got sick from eating tinned straw mushrooms. I don't know why I thought it was a good teenage me thought it was a good idea, but I put them into one of those packet pastas. I was like, oh, that's in the cupboard, and we don't have anything else, so I'll just put that in the packet pasta. I was deathly sick for like
wait.
3 days.
Hold on. I don't know what a. And I'm afraid I'm going to say something bad. A
What?
a pack of plaster?
Ah, packet pasta. You don't know what that is?
No.
It's like, do you know those pastas that you get that have it's like dried pasta and then you get like a powder and then you have to like put it in the saucepan and add milk and water and butter
Yeah.
and
Oh, okay. Yeah.
we call them packet pasta here.
Okay. I will. Here. Here. I know what you're talking about. Like I
What are
think
they
it's
called in the States?
um I don't know. Pasta sides, I think they come in rice packets, or they're next to like the dried rice that have the seasoning included. That's what I thought you were saying.
Pecker. All right.
That's what I thought you were saying. I was like,
The
what?
accent gets a little sloppy at times, I think.
No, no, no. It's not. No, it's not that. I was just like, what? Wait, what? Yeah, because they do make that, for like bachelorette party pasta salad and stuff. So it wouldn't be far off.
So it wasn't the pasta that made me sick. It was the straw mushrooms in a tin that I
Yeah.
put in the pasta that made me like deathly sick. I was like hallucinating. I felt like I passed out on the toilet throwing up a couple of times.
Ugh.
Um, and I was really sick for like 3 days. And to this day, I can no longer eat any type of like small mushroom. Like my body just is like, no, you're not
Yeah.
eating it. I can eat big mushrooms, but not like little tiny ones. Even in Chinese food, I can't eat it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. I got sick. I don't know if they even have them anymore. When I was at Florida State, they had a Shoney's around the corner from like our dorm, and we went to the breakfast buffet one time. And there had been no drinking the night before or anything like that, and all of us got sick from the breakfast buffet. And specifically, I think it was the ketchup on the table that we were using for like home fries, because that was what I had an aversion to for years. I've just started using ketchup like in moderation, and it's been what, I was 18. It's been like 32 years. So yeah.
Yeah, but I think you're misunderstanding. 2 minute noodles is something different. Like 2 minute noodles is like where the noodles come in like a cake with like a powder sachet or in a cup with the powder sachet. I'm talking about like continental, because she's Australian, she knows. Like the continental ones where you have like carbonara or curry chicken or things like that.
Hold on one second. Like, give me just a moment here. Let me see if we can straighten this out.
We're gonna call this groceries with Ping and Aimee.
I know, right? Or, hey, what made you throw up tonight live?
That's
Um,
our new Thursday show. What made you throw up live with Ping and Aimee?
exactly. Is it like something like this? And so you take these and you cook them with like milk or water, and they have a seasoning packet in them.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, the brand in America is Knorr. We
Hmm.
get Knorr stuff here too, but I've never seen one of those in Knorr brand. But I like Knorr branded stuff.
Yeah.
They do a good chicken powder actually.
Hmm.
Interesting. Yeah, but that's exactly what it is.
Okay. All right. Clear that up. The mystery. See, this is a true crime show. The mystery is solved. Um, we no longer have to lay awake at night wondering.
Solving the biggest mysteries in true crime.
We're good for something. um, so to kind of tack on, because I don't have any more details, they're going to do an autopsy on this woman they found in the house. The other woman's being evaluated in the hospital. They're worried about her health condition from not only living in that environment, but her psychological state. And apparently, this is just what I gathered from the story. The context is that she was physically unable to get to the door to answer or to grab those packages. So whether she had fallen, whether she had had a stroke, whatever it was, she was incapacitated. She's being treated for that. Um, in the meantime, they're going to try and do an autopsy on her mother and figure out if she truly did die of natural causes, if there was any financial benefit to not reporting her death. So nothing new to add here. But if you can believe it, I found a second story. And this one is August 24th, which was yesterday morning, right? And okay. So this this is hard to explain. So Randall Freer, who is 63 years old, dies in his house, and his body is discovered. And the police come out and, coroner and everything, and declare him dead. And then they do the process of trying to identify the next of kin. And they do. And so they go, I'm sorry, I'm going to try not to laugh. So they go to the second home. This is in Jackson, California. So this is in California as well. So they go to Jackson, California, and they knock on the door. Nobody answers. And they go inside and they find Veda Clinton Freer, who has been dead for 10 years, maybe, sitting on the couch.
How's that last name spelled? Said again?
F
Veda
R.
Clinton Frito?
I'll put the I'll go ahead and put the article on the screen. It's like free with an R on the end.
Is it a Jewish last name, you think, or?
I don't know. I don't know. I suppose it could and have been modified at some point. I don't know. I hadn't really. So you know how this goes. So here we go. So I'll tell you the basis of the story and I'll read it to you and I'll tell you why I'm kind of giving this to you because it doesn't read the right way. Okay, so they find Randall Freer dead originally, and they look for next of kin and they think they're going to notify his son. They knock on the door and they find a body that has been there so long that the skin looks like leather. It's literally mummified. Okay. And they're like, what the heck? And the end of the story basically is that Randall assumed his father's identity upon his death to collect his money and left his dad decomposing in his home. So they thought they were notifying the son, but they found the dad's dead body. So the story goes like this. A man who died in July is suspected of having left his father's body to rot for years in order to get a hold of his money, authorities say. Randall Freer, 63, died last month in Jackson, California after suffering an undisclosed medical condition, Calaveras County Sheriff's Office Lieutenant Greg Stark said. Calaveras makes me laugh because if you know anything about Day of the Dead, that's basically like Calavera is like skulls and design and whatever. But anyway, when a deputy was dispatched to carry out a next of kin notification at Freer's father's home in Wallace, California, he heard what sounded like a fan running. Peering through the window, the deputy saw a body sitting in a recliner. Stark said the advanced state of decomposition suggested the man had been in the chair for more than 3 years. It was severely decomposed with partial skeletal remains, he said. In my 28 years of law enforcement, this type of investigation is extremely rare. We don't typically find someone who had been dead for so long inside a residence. The man in the chair was confirmed to be Ada Clinton Freer, Randall's father. It emerged that Randall was collecting funds from his father's own account until his death in July. The son assumed the dad's identity, and I suspect he was probably living with his dad and living off his father, Calaveras County Coroner Kevin Raggio said. Then there's a link saying, read in the LA Times. But guess what, folks? Can't do that without a subscription. And Miss Aimee can't afford a subscription to every periodical on the internet. Let's see. What else did I have here? Randall was apparently receiving close to $3,000 a month from his father's Social Security and other retirement payments. Both Freers are listed on address records for the home in Wallace and on the south shore of Comanche Reservoir. The house is on a large lot and set 300 yards back from the road. Randall Freer also is linked to the address in Stockton, and Veda Freer's wife, Loretta, died in 2006 at age 72, so she was reported dead. The Calaveras County Sheriff's Department is investigating the theft of checks at the request of a nephew in San Andreas. Veda Freer's body was cremated. I'm guessing it was cremated because they didn't think they could get anything off of it, although that sounds a little strange to me. It would seem that you would want to investigate that a little further, but perhaps I'm wrong. I don't know.
There may have been no one else who could assume responsibility or there's no one else they could charge with a crime in relation, and there's no one else around because they're dead now. So they're like, the best course of action is to cremate and then hold, maybe. And then
they wouldn't want to find out they wouldn't want to even try to find out how he died.
Well, if there's no way to charge someone in relation to it because the son is now dead, there's probably no point.
the investigator said, or he told, this is from, let me say, this is from the Mercury News, which is, local to there. One of the investigators told this publication that they have proof that Ada, the dad, had not signed a check since 2016. So from 2016 until 3 weeks ago, when we believe that Randall, the son, actually died, he's been forging checks since 2016.
Wow, he's probably afraid that he was in a bit of ill health himself, and when he lost his father, he was probably like, I might be homeless and in ill health, and then I might not live as long as well. I think people do things in desperate situations and may not always be right, but
Or they're not in desperate situations. It's greed, and you're living this life for a very
could be.
long time, and maybe this is speculation, but I don't think it's heavy speculation. I think you could say with the daughter in the first story that what got her caught was the fact that she became incapacitated herself. So you could just be living your best little hoarder recluse life and slip on something, and then you're effed.
Oh, her for sure. I mean, just the
You
amount
know?
of pictures on the outside, I mean, that showed a serious issue there.
Yeah.
Emily, I just wanted to address this quickly, and then because there's really not a lot to talk about. The bodies in the storage unit in New Zealand, we did do an update on Tuesday. Right now, the latest information is the children were between 5 and 10. There's two of them in remains in the packages. And the family is apparently the one who owned the storage locker is in New Zealand, and they are working with international agencies to track them down and figure out what happened. So until we get an update further to that, that's all that's going to happen for a little while.
It's very strange, very sad. Um, I put Tracy's comment on the screen, and I'm glad she said COVID because it reminded me of something. I was thinking about this first story and actually the second story too. And it'll be interesting. I don't know how long it will take. How many years it would take to gather this data, but what COVID long term, not having COVID, like the shutdown, the pandemic in general, has done to people psychologically, where maybe some of these things have transpired, or if one thing has anything to do with another.
I was thinking the same, Amy. I was like, what if they were so afraid of COVID or getting COVID at the time? That's why they didn't report
Yeah,
the death.
yeah, yeah. I think that's a possibility. I think there's that. I think that you we don't know about this first woman. We don't know if she could, for all we know, she worked from home and she got a paycheck and she didn't need her mom's money and there's something else going on. Who knows? But it seems like old Randall got caught because he had an accident, or he had a stroke, and it's unfortunate, but I can say that like that could happen to any of us at any time. It's not something a lot of people foresee happening, and it happens to people that appear to be in good health. So there's a long scam there. But I think with Randall, he was 63. So when he started this, let's see, in 2016, he was in his mid 50s.
Still fairly young, yeah.
Well, I hope so. Remember who you're talking to. um, yeah. I mean, that
It's all right, Grandma. It's all right.
Yeah, shut up. I swear, my stepdaughter keeps trying to get her kids to call me something, and I'm like, Shirley MacLaine and what's that movie? Terms
Oh,
of
where
Endearment.
she's like, I'm not a grandma, I'm not Nana.
Oh no, I'm like, they could call me Mrs. Fallon. There's no Mimi, Gigi, Mema. Nope, 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 nope.
I'm ma'am to you.
Yeah, and like, yeah, yeah. Um, anyway, do you want to get into our last story of the night?
Sure, let's
Okay.
hit it. I'm gonna be blind for a minute, so if
Okay.
I can't mute, that's just
All
how
right.
it's gonna be.
No worries. I'm gonna put back here.
So our last story for tonight is Joshua Thomas Carney, 28. He actually entered his victims' homes in South Wales on the morning of Tuesday, 1st of March. He was saying they were saying in court um, that he basically forced his way in, and he held this mother and daughter together and committed basically rape and sexual assault in front
Mhm.
of each other. So he did one to one and one to the other, and he forced them both basically to watch each other be sexually assaulted. This guy is an animal, really. He's just the scary thing is he'd only just been released from jail just recently. He actually got an early release from an 8-year jail sentence. Like
Yeah,
I think it was only like 2 days before or something.
it was only a
And
couple
then
of days. Yeah.
yeah, and the first thing he does is go and keep a mother and daughter hostage for many hours and rape them. I mean, these are the type of people you hope the court sees fit to never release, because obviously it shows that he has no viable way of being in the community any longer.
Yeah,
Um,
I read different like versions, and I think it happens here sometimes just because it's across the pond type of stuff. But one of the versions that I read was that the mom was getting ready to leave for work, and she opened the door, and he was and walked out, and he was kind of like right there, and she kind of started retreating back to the door, and he asked her if she would call him a taxi. And when she tried to shut the door, he like basically stuck his foot in, or like somehow shoved himself in to get into the house. And then I read that the daughter was like 14, and
yeah,
she
it's very
actually,
sad, isn't it?
it the way it was worded, it didn't I don't know if this is what they meant, but the way it was worded, it sounded like her mom was being attacked, and she was on the phone. The police didn't get there in time, and so she was attacked too.
Yes, the bit I read, the article I just had in front of me, for some reason is lacking the details of the first article I sent you. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she was upstairs. She heard the commotion, and then I think she called the police,
Mm-hmm.
and somehow she was found out of being there, and then yeah, he basically it's just horrible. And she's only 14. She has to live with that for the rest of her life.
Well, and her
And
mother has to live with her daughter, like she couldn't.
seeing her being raped, and it's just horrible.
Yeah. And you
And the
see,
judge actually said it's a crime of magnitude, because it's literally a woman's worst nightmare and a mother's worst nightmare all
yes.
in one.
So I have your original article if you want me to pull it up. Um,
Yeah, that's good, because for some reason the first one I had, which was from ITV, won't load for me anymore. I don't know why.
oh, that's weird. This one is actually from Law and Crime. And it had a detail I hadn't seen. I read like a couple of them. This one I left because it said, though Joshua Thomas Carney, 28, was high on synthetic marijuana and initially claimed not to remember what happened, Judge Tracy Lloyd Clark asserted that he was in control of what he was doing, according to Sky News. So he's claiming that he was on drugs and unaware of what he was doing. Um, she says the attack was deliberately sadistic and no doubt done to satisfy your perverted sexual desires, and your abusive sexual remarks are indicative of your attitude. Ugh. One of the rapes was punishment for phoning the police. So that is why the daughter was assaulted. The daughter was assaulted for because she got. We have to put two and two together, right? Um, the daughter was assaulted, and as punishment for calling whatever version of 911. Um, it says Carney's behavior included locking that family's front door behind him and also taking the daughter's phone. The incident reportedly happened about 6:45 a.m. on March 1st. The mother, who was, is that right? March 1st.
I think so. That's what mine said too. Only recently.
Yeah. The mother, who was getting ready for work, heard Carney attempting to turn the handle of the front door and touching the letterbox. She checked outside to find him barefoot and hiding around the side of her house. Though she backed toward the front door, the suspect asked her to call a taxi, and then he forced his way inside the residence. Let's see. From there,
Tracy, this is not as strict as you think it is. This is in Wales in the UK. It's not anywhere else, so they've got similar laws to us. Sorry, Aimee.
No, you're fine. From there, Carney punched the woman repeatedly in her face and raped her in the living room. He told the victim to stop screaming or he would stab her. The daughter, who had been sleeping upstairs, heard the attack and called the cops, though she initially believed her mother had been stabbed. Carney attempted to break into the child's room, and her mother told her to open it, believing the attacker might kill both of them if they did not follow his demands. After taking the girl's phone, Carney discovered she likely called the police. It was then the defendant raped both the mother and daughter. Police cars were out front when he initially tried to escape. The mother, trying to foreclose what she feared to be a potential hostage situation, told the attacker she could show him out the back. It was in the back of the residence where Carney was arrested. And they say stranger attacks such as these are extremely unusual in South Wales, but in Joshua Carney, we had an extremely dangerous individual. The constable said, his name is Ian Booker, everyone has the right to feel safe in their own home, and our immediate response on March 1st meant Carney was arrested at the scene of this awful incident. The judge again said, your offending on that day was horrific, and it was the stuff of nightmares. Carney, okay, this is terrible. Can you see this? Can you?
I can see the line you're probably looking at.
Do you want to read it?
I can read it if you want me to rather than you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Carney spoke derisively of the mother and daughter after police arrested him. He also claimed not to remember what happened. Those bleep little sluts probably called me into their home, he reportedly said while in police custody at the time. I think that's disgusting. Yes, I'm sure a mother and a 14-year-old girl called you into their home for a good time. That doesn't happen. I'm sorry, mate.
Yeah, it's horrible. Let's see. I think this is, let's see. Following his immediate arrest, a thorough and extensive investigation, which included forensic examination, was carried out to ensure Carney could be brought to justice, Booker said in his statement. This sickening incident is every woman's worst nightmare, and understandably, both females have suffered severe shock and emotional trauma. It must have been absolutely terrifying for them, and they have been extremely brave throughout this ordeal. We hope today's sentencing brings some sense of closure and allows them to begin the process of regaining their confidence. So the sentence was a life sentence with a minimum of 10 years served. Is that correct?
Yeah, he won't be released, though. I don't think so. I think what they'll do is once he gets to 10 years, they'll just deny him parole every year. Because he showed that when he was released the first time, he committed an even worse offense.
Right.
2 days after he was released. So when he goes up for parole on board, they're probably going to evaluate that every time, and every time they're going to say you're a danger to the community. We can't let you out. So I hope this guy stays behind bars. I don't care. You can't blame drugs or splice or spice, whatever it's called. I think, it wasn't even Meow Meow, that other one, that 4 Mayo one. I mean, at least people were like, hey, I was a zombie or something, but
Right.
Dude, you knew what you were doing. Whatever. It's own your punishment. That's it.
So it's harder for me to weigh in on like this because of where it happened, because I don't understand some of the laws there. But I will tell you that just thinking about some cases that I know here, a guarantee of 10 years on this is sometimes more than what people get here. They might get 15 for the crime and serve 8.
I
You know,
think we've seen ones as low as like 4 years for rape.
it's just
There was a child abuse case maybe like 6 months ago where a guy, I think he was like 21 or something, raped a 14-year-old or 13-year-old, and he only got 1.5 years in prison, and he was released with no. I don't think he even had to sign a sex offender thing. He said that basically she asked for it and all this stuff, and the judge was like, "Well, I could see how that could happen,"
yeah.
and so maybe 10 years is a half decent sentence, but I reckon he won't get parole at 10 years.
Well, I hope not. And I'm kind of curious about how their sentencing works, what their sentencing guidelines are, like the boring stuff that probably nobody else cares about. But I
So
think
you
you
could
guys,
probably look at the Commonwealth guidelines
yeah,
for sentencing between in Wales or the UK.
yeah,
There has been some political and social pushback in the UK at light sentencing, or what the public perceives as light sentencing for
hmm
serious crimes in the UK. It is actually a big issue over there that a lot of UK residents are not very happy about. I know that just because our countries share a lot in common because we're part of the Commonwealth. Our head
right.
of country is the Queen. So, um, yeah,
I think from what I read, I'm very impressed with this judge because not only did she take into consideration the things he said while he was committing the crime, the things the circumstances of it, like you know making the mom open the door and the retribution for the phone call and all that, but also taking into account, which is something that doesn't always happen here in the US, actually taking into account with the sentencing. Hey, you just got out of jail like 3 days ago or whatever. Don't hold me to it, but it said, uh, what did it say? A few days ago. I think that's what
I
most
think it
of them.
was a day or a couple of days. It wasn't very long.
Wasn't very long. So he just got released early. Okay, from it, and I don't know what he did, what his prior offense was. I didn't get that far. Interesting to know that, but he was just released on that. Um, Scored drugs, because that's what you do, when you get a second chance or third chance, whatever chance he's on. And this is really hard for me because I have to tell you, as much as I cover true crime, I do believe in second chances and I do believe in third chances, depending on what the crime is. If it's, you know, personal drug use or something like that, where it's sort of and you're not affecting your children, like your children can't find your drugs. Like, let's say you're a single person and you get caught with drugs and you're not selling it or whatever, like that's kind of a victimless crime in a way. I don't think that should destroy your life forever. I think you should still have opportunity to work and to make a good living. You pay your debt to society and we move on, right? um, I do believe in certain situations that people deserve second and third chances, but not these kind of second and third chances. If I'm your judge and I know that you got paroled early and you just go back into society and the first thing you do is try to get drugs and you rape a mother and their daughter, and probably in the US you would have gotten breaking and entering and battery. Well, you definitely would have gotten battery on top of sexual assault because he punched the mom in the face. He probably would have gotten false imprisonment too for locking them in the house. I mean, what's so sad, Ping, and then I'm going to just shut up, is that this happened in the US. Let's see, what could you get him on? You could get him on false imprisonment for the locked door, um, assault or battery, whatever you want to call it, like physical assault or battery, sexual assault. Um, what else did I say? B&E, breaking and entering, because he forced himself in, and he probably still would have gotten less time.
Amy, I have some additional information here.
Please.
Carney of Rimney, Cardiff, launched his attack 5 days after being released from jail. He was incarcerated for 8 years in 2018 at Cardiff Crown Court for a series of burglaries and released early on license on April 25th. He has 47 previous convictions.
Oh, are you kidding me?
No. And just a little detail here about the little girl, the 14-year-old schoolgirl, and this is probably one of the hardest bits of information out of the whole thing. The schoolgirl victim had to take the morning after pill and anti-HIV medication and now sleeps with a hammer under her bed. It's horrible.
Yeah. So he needs to be covered in honey and stuck in the middle of a fire ant pile. And then we can feed him to sharks and let him bleed out while, I don't know. Like,
Yeah, same guy, Tracy L. Same guy.
No. How do you let somebody out after? No. Mm-mm. No.
47 convictions shows, and look, sometimes when you go to court, you get done with multiple convictions at the same time. So the cops might do you for like 6 different things in the one crime.
Yeah.
But 47 doesn't suggest that you went to court once.
No.
It suggests you've probably been there about 10 times.
Oh my God. The other day, I was talking to somebody that used to work in corrections, like pretty high up. And it's something that I always kind of assumed happened, but you know how like you don't like I'm not a Pollyanna. I talk about how people are awful all the time. I don't make excuses for them committing crimes. I try to understand the circumstances and all of that. But this is something that I thought in the back of my head. I pretty much knew it was true, but when you actually hear it from somebody that can confirm it to you, it hits differently. So he was saying that it's really hard to see people when they get sent off to federal prison because when they're going through the court process, they're, on their best behavior and everything else. And then afterwards, they're like, that was some funny shit when my attorney made up that lie about this and we went into court, like proud of it. Now, whether they do that to survive in prison or not, I really don't care, because if you really cared about your crime, like maybe getting beaten up in prison is part of your deal,
He probably will be in prison. They don't take too kindly to people who abuse young girls. He's probably going to have to be in isolation. Otherwise, they'll beat the crap out of him every day.
I mean, this is so scary too when you look at him. He looks like a normal guy.
He looks like the guy you see like walking down the street down near the milk bar or something. Like, he doesn't look like someone you should be afraid of, and that's the lesson.
Yeah.
That I think the police, true crime writers, true crime creators, us, everyone is trying to push out there that evil comes in all sorts of shapes, sizes, and looks, and you just have to be aware of your surroundings and what's going on. I mean, not that would have saved these girls in this situation. I think that situation was going to happen whether they wanted to or not.
Oh, yeah.
But, it's a good example. This is a great example of not everyone looks like the guy that's, how everyone has that joke, he looks like a pedophile or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
This guy just looks like the normal dude down the road. So, normal dudes can be evil too.
Yeah, there's monsters among us. Yikes. Well, scary.
I wanted to end on something happy, and I was looking and I was trying to find something really happy to end on after that one.
I have something kind of happy. Do you?
You have something happy?
Did you find one? Did you find one?
I was going to tell you that Shaq was in the country in Australia, but then I couldn't find something fun to talk about. So
I love Shaq. I showed you the picture of my husband with Shaq, right?
Yeah. He's down here doing a promotional talk. He did a pay-per-view talky thing last night, but it was $30, and I'm like, I paid $80 to see Chris Rock. I ain't paying $30 to watch you on television.
Yeah. He's such a nice guy. I mean, he really is. He's a good guy. Hey, Kathy Lynch. Part of the convict code is you don't speak about your charges. Yeah. Okay, so maybe this isn't, we're in a pinch here. So let me pull this up. It might not be the happiest, but it's kind of fun and inspirational, and maybe we can all find something for this, and then we move on. So let's see.
Is it a video about how they make cookies? Because I mean, that'd be good.
Oh, I wish it was. I wish it was. Let's see here. I'm gonna have to pull it up in my Gmail, but that's okay. There's nothing. Let me just look around and make sure there's nothing like exposed.
No nude photos that can be leaked.
I know. Me, I mean, racy me. I saved those for my. Is it friends only?
Say that for your fans only account.
Oh, fans only. That's right. I always say friends only.
That's a different type of arrangement.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Okay. So this was an assignment. Some of you may have seen this before. An English teacher gave her students an assignment to write one of their favorite authors just to see if they would write back. And so this particular person wrote Kurt Vonnegut, and he wrote back. And he said, "Dear Xavier High School and Ms. Lockwood and Mrs. Perrin, McFeely, Batten, Maurer, and Congalusta." I don't know how to say that. "I thank you for your friendly letters. You sure know how to cheer up a really old geezer, 84, in his sunset years. I don't make public appearances anymore because I now resemble nothing so much as an iguana. When I say to you, moreover, would not take long, to wit, practice any art, music, singing, dancing, acting, drawing, painting, sculpting, poetry, fiction, essays, reportage, no matter how well or badly, not to get money and fame, but to experience becoming and to find out what's inside you to make your soul grow. Seriously, I mean, starting right now, do art and do it for the rest of your lives. Draw a funny or nice picture of Miss Lockwood and give it to her. Dance home after school and sing in the shower and so on and so on. Make a face in your mashed potatoes and pretend you're Count Dracula. Here's an assignment for tonight. And I hope Miss Lockwood will flunk you if you don't do it. Write a 6-line poem about anything, but rhymed. No fair tennis without a net. Make it as good as you possibly can, but don't tell anybody what you're doing. Don't show it or recite it to anybody, not even your girlfriend or parents or whatever, or Miss Lockwood, okay? Tear it up into teeny weeny pieces and discard them into widely separated trash receptacles. You will find that you have already been gloriously rewarded for your poem. You've experienced becoming, learned a lot more about what's inside you, and you have made your soul grow. God bless you all, Kurt Vonnegut." And I think that's really, really cool because I'm a huge proponent of people having those kind of outlets and doing it just because as humans, we need a creative outlet. Doesn't mean you have to be good at it. Doesn't mean you have to show anybody. It just is a side of you that's very, very vulnerable to yourself. There's being vulnerable to other people when you let them critique your work, but actually doing it in the first place makes you vulnerable to yourself and leads to self-exploration. I think that's super, super important. So I actually found this today, and I was going to send it to my mom and my sister, but I'm going to do something I don't normally do and share. I shared it with you guys first. I hope it means something to you, like it did to me when I read it. On that note, I'm going to wrap it up.
Oh, I can. I really love when you see these quite a bit in the news where a child or a teacher writes to a famous person, and they get like a really cool response back. I think there was one where a child wrote to NASA, and NASA wrote back like a really cool letter and sent like a spaceship and stuff.
Yeah.
Those type of things give me more hope for the world because it shows me that there's kind people that are obviously very, very busy and have very full-on lives, but they'll take a moment out of their lives to inspire the next generation. And that's
Absolutely.
what I really love seeing.
Me too. Me too.
I have a little bit of some pop culture thing before we go. It's not a lot of news, but one in a week, Cold Justice is returning for a brand new season, Once that airs, we're going to talk about the episodes a little bit each week. And two, I want to tell you about a show I've been hooked on for a couple of weeks now, which is interesting. I don't know if you guys remember the Osbournes from back in the early
Yeah.
2000s on MTV.
Yeah. When they
Well,
were throwing hams over the fence.
yes. So the Osbourne children, and I'm sure you've seen them on like America's Got Talent and things like that. They've all grown up now. They're in
Mhm.
their 30s. They have families and children and things like that. Well, there's a show called, and it's been out for quite a long time, but it's called Ozzy and Jack's World Detour. And it's Jack Osbourne and Ozzy Osbourne, and they travel around the country looking up different historical things. And it's because apparently when Ozzy Osbourne was younger and Jack was younger, Ozzy Osbourne was always out on tour. So they didn't have a very close relationship. And in their older years, they're trying to get to know each other a little more. And actually, in one of the later seasons, the sister comes as well. So they're trying to make it a bit more of a family affair. But it's a great show. And if you haven't seen it, invest a little bit of time into it, especially if you love history. I think it's a fun little show. And it changed my opinion about Ozzy Osbourne because I really thought he was a jerk and I really didn't like him from the MTV show in the early 2000s. But this showed me a different side of him.
So where can we watch this?
I think in America, AXS channel airs the episodes.
I'll have to look it up and see if I can find a link.
Yeah, they used to be on History and Travel channel,
Okay.
but recently Access or AXS bought the rights to the reruns.
Yeah, Athena as an Ozzy Osbourne. So they have what I think they have 3 kids. I think they have Kelly, Jack, and Aimee. And doesn't Jack has some sort of ailment, right? Is it
He has MS, yeah.
MS? I couldn't remember what it was, and I hesitate to say it because I don't. Man, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Get off my lawn. If I say one thing wrong, I
They'll
hear about it.
you
It
and
doesn't
they'll
matter
come
where.
for you.
Doesn't matter where I am. I swear. Like, I mean, on the internet, like I could be on somebody else's channel and like stumble over my words. I can correct myself, and I still get emails saying, "Well, you said that wrong." I said, "What did I
You
say
said
the other
please.
night?" I said one time. I said, I think 2 or 3 times. I probably said because I had to rewatch it. I said "Adventures with a Purpose" instead of "Adventures with Purpose." You would have thought I went around and murdered cats. I mean, I was like, sorry. And sometimes too, especially when I have a moment like that, that's my ADD. I will say adventures with a purpose. Like
It's because it's the correct English.
it
That's
is.
why. And
It's
Adventures with Purpose sort of it's a shorthand way of saying it. And
yeah.
I understood when you were saying it the other night. I
Hmm.
know why you were saying it. It's because in your mind there should be an A in there, and you were like, "No, that's the correct way of saying it. It's just
Yeah.
automatic in your head." But yeah,
And part of like I don't know if you do this, but part of ADD is filling in the blanks when your mind isn't like
all
you're
getting stuck in loops.
you get stuck in loops, but you're like for me, I don't know how to describe it. A lot of times I feel like I'm scanning everything and my brain is filling in the voids because I'm just trying to get to take it all in and digest it so it's dealt with. And yeah, but anyway, a side note anyway, I think we ended up happy. I'm gonna totally check out that show.
Yeah,
Kathy says she can't understand what Ozzy says. I will tell you that I've noticed that most of the time when he's on anywhere, they have like super titles. Or
super titles, not subtitles, but super titles.
isn't super title? I don't know.
It's subtitles, but
Is it
yeah,
subtitles?
yeah.
Subtitles.
What are super titles?
Hold on. Oh, super titles are an opera.
What really?
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. So if you go or you go see a play or a performance in another language, they're not subtitles. They're super titles. They put them up above where the action is, and they explain to you what's taking place. Like tells the story.
Oh, because they're not sub, they're super, which is above. I get it.
Yeah, sorry, I get them like mixed up. So I'm all mixed up. All mixed up. Can't sing because I'll get a trademark thing. But
I'm
it's
all mixed up.
Yep. We got grassroots, y'all. Anyway, I think that's it for tonight, right?
I think that's it, and we're very sad to leave you for the next 5 days, but we'll be back on Tuesday. It's so great to be back this week.
Yes.
After last week's little jump in happenings, but I hope you've all had a great week. We'll be back with more true crime on Tuesday, and hope you enjoyed the show.
Yeah. And if you did, hit the like button. That helps us. Leave a comment, interact with us down below. Ew, that sounded creepy. Leave a comment under this video so we can have that kind of dialogue with you until we get our community page. We really need that. It takes 500 subscribers. So if you know a friend, you have an alternate personality, something along those lines, sign your kids up. I don't care. I won't be able to watch them because it's 18 and up. And yeah, because we're working really, really hard to get there. We need that 500. It's a slow growing thing, but the feedback has been fantastical. So we really appreciate it. So yeah, if you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do. We're here every Tuesday and Thursday night, sometime between 9:15 and 9:40, depending on whether our phone booth is running well and calibrated. And on that note, I'll say good night, everybody. Good night, Ping.
Good night, Aimee. Good night, everyone. See you next time.